Hey guys, how's it going? I've been fitting these kick-ass lithium power stations for months now at work. Today I want to share with you why I think they're one of the best power stations on the market. All right, let's get to it. Before we run through the features of the power station, I want to strip this right apart first and show you why I was so impressed with this battery box. Now, I've fitted and owned plenty of battery boxes in the past, but the first thing that impressed me, inside the battery box here, you can see there's little strips. I'm trying to get the sun right. There's little strips across. They have these silicon pads. You simply stick them in there. The battery sits on top and it will not move. I struggled to get the battery back out again. It will not move anywhere. And then once the battery's in there, you got this Velcro strap as well that straps it in tight. Before we put it all together, I want to do something I haven't done before. Underneath the lid here, I want to undo all these screws and see how good the quality of their wiring really is. This is actually better than I thought it would be. Looks like they used, looks like 6 BNS to their main battery cables here. There's 8 BNS to all the Anderson plugs, circuit breakers. They've all got little plastic covers over all the positive terminals. Everything's insulated. All the wires are labelled. They've actually done a really, really good job. A lot better than the Kings or other products that I've used. Now we'll start putting it all together and show you what it can do. So we'll lift the battery in first. Lithium battery, nice and light compared to the AGM equivalent. The AGM is around the 40 kilo mark, so very heavy compared to this, around the 10, 11, 12 kilo mark, so a lot lighter. Like I said, once that's in there, it's really hard to try and get it to move. It locks onto those silicon pads. Now, get a Velcro strap. Lock in that Velcro strap. That can't move now. Connecting the plugs is pretty easy too. You have this main plug here with, 5 pins. That plugs into the battery itself. This sends the signal from the battery management system to the display screen right there, and then that'll give you all your battery information you need. You've got your main battery negative and positive here. Connect those to your terminals. And lastly, you have this second little earth which you'll connect with the main earth onto that negative terminal. It's worth noting they supply you with the little M8 bolts for your positive negative terminals. They supply you with everything you need to get this running. The next thing I hadn't seen before, and this was the thing I loved the most, with the Kings battery boxes and Nava, whatever brand you buy, they're standard battery boxes. They've got your ends plugs, cigarette plugs, everything on them. But the worst thing of all, they give you this cheap little strap that goes around it. It locks it in, and that lid is still free to flop backwards and forwards. I hadn't seen this before. All 4 corners on here, they give you little Allen key bolts, and you actually bolt the lid down so it can't move. While I'm screwing this back down, I want to be open and honest with you guys, as I always am. This lithium power station was provided to me by Kickass for review purposes, but I genuinely, there's not many products that get me excited when I first fit them. When I'd first seen this at work, I had a feeling I hadn't had in a long time. I genuinely couldn't believe how much time and effort they'd put into this battery box, and just stuff I hadn't thought of before. They've just thought of everything. So I was really excited to review this product here. Next thing we're going to look at is the wiring kit. Like I said, they genuinely do come with everything you need. There's only one more thing that I would add to this wiring kit if I was installing it in my own car. It's great they provide you 3-core wire here. You get your positive, negative, and your ignition trigger. We'll cover that in a minute. One more thing they could have included, but that's pretty hard to include in this bundle, is convoluted tubing, because you don't know how long they've been running it. So if you're running this through underneath your car, I would use convoluted tubing. If you're just running it straight through your car, the majority of the time you will not need any convoluted tubing at all, besides in the engine bay. You want to start the wiring under the bonnet here. Like I said, this 3-core I hadn't seen before. They've got the 8mm positive and negative. Now you want to protect this with convoluted tubing. Anything under the bonnet, protect with convoluted tubing. So you just connect this one here to the positive, and the negative just connect to your battery negative. It already has a built-in 80 amp fuse with a spare one to come as well. And then there's this little blue wire. This is your ignition trigger. Now if you have an older car like my Hilux, you won't need it. Otherwise, with any newer cars like this one here, it's got a smart alternator and the voltage will vary, so it won't always be enough voltage there to charge the second battery. So you want to trick the charger into tripping in even though that voltage might not be quite high enough for it to trigger. So this is what this does. It's got a little terminal on there. They give you an extension piece with another little terminal on it. Just plug that in, and then what you want to do, you want to find an ignition trigger source under your bonnet. Now it's pretty easy to do. This is probably the hardest bit of all. Start looking in your fuse box here. Look at your cover, try and find like a wiper motor or an accessories or something that turns on with the ignition, but then shuts off with no 12 volt to it once you shut the key off. What that's going to do, when you shut your key off, it'll stop that charger from charging so that it won't flatten your main battery. So the next time you go to start your car, you know it's always still fully charged, ready to go. One extra thing I believe they should have included in this kit is an adder circuit. It's like a piggyback fuse holder. So you have all your little fuses here, and what that basically does, it's a little connector with 2 fuse holders in it. And what you would do, you'd find the fuse that you're going to use, and you'd pull that out, put that into this little piggyback fuse holder, as well as your new fuse, and then you would just join that to this wire and just put it back in that same location. That's the easiest way to do it. So that's one thing they could have included in the kit. Another place to find an ignition trigger source, if you can find your wiper motor wires, you can see this one's coming out here. If I splice that open with a knife and test these wires, one of them will turn on with the ignition, and that's my wire I can solder to for my 12 volt ignition trigger. You will need a test light to test for an ignition trigger, but if you don't feel confident, like I said, get someone else to do this, but it's pretty easy, most people can do it themselves. Next thing you want to do is run it past the battery, find a little grommet in your firewall here, and there should be a little nipple on it you can cut off, and get a piece of wire, take the wire to the other end of this, and then push that wire through with a bit of silicone spray or WD-40, a bit of lubricant, and pass it through, making sure you don't run into any existing wires. That'd be a real mess if you broke one of those wires and try to fix that through there. Next thing you want to do, pull apart your little kick panel here and your little trims along here. Most of them will just pull straight off. Run the wire underneath here, through the back, do the same thing in the back seat. Same panel there, pull off, run the wire underneath it, through to the boot. Once you run it all the way to the boot, work out how much length you actually need to reach the battery box. Cut the wire to suit. One thing I do like, if it is long enough, you can connect the Anderson plug straight to these, but if you do have to cut it, they provide you plenty of blank Anderson plug little terminals here. You will need wire strippers. Just strip that end of the wire back, crimp your new terminal to it, and feed all 3 back into this 3-pin Anderson plug. This is something else I hadn't seen before, a 3-pin Anderson plug with your positive, negative, and ignition trigger. So previously when I'd set up dual batteries in the back of cars at work and everything else, I needed 2 plugs, your positive, negative, and then you have to run a separate plug for your ignition trigger, whereas this is all in one. Once your wiring's done, your 3-pin Anderson, underneath here, they've got flush mount Anderson plugs. So they've got it labelled up top what they are. So your 3-pin Anderson will just plug directly into there. And next to that is a solar input. The thing I like about having the flush mount Anderson plugs, not only does it hide your wiring, once you put this up against the wall in your back of the car or tub, whatever you've got it in, you won't see any of this wiring. It's completely hidden, and having the flush mount Anderson plugs means there's no exposed wires. That's one thing when you buy the King's battery boxes or any others, the Anderson plug is up top, and then you see the wires coming straight down and into the box. Even the charger, there's no wires coming out the back of this charger. They've thought of absolutely everything. Every other charger I've seen, the wires come out the back, and then they go into the battery box. There's just no wires anywhere. You've got plenty of Anderson plugs on the side here, 4 more, 2 more here, and then you've got a huge higher power connector here. This one here is great for, you can either plug it into an inverter if you want to run an inverter separately, or they sell a jumper pack lead, plug that directly into there, and you can start a car with this battery pack. The reason this is so portable is this battery tray that they've thought of. As you can see, there's plenty of mounting holes through it, so you can mount it absolutely anywhere, back of your car, tub, canopy, wherever you want, and this is all you will ever see. The battery box can stay at home to save weight in your car, and when you're ready to head out, simply load it in the back of your car, on the tray, 2 straps here. There's little clips, both sides. Grab the tags here, pull down the tags, and that won't go anywhere. It's strapped in, ready to go. Much better than those cheap straps that go over top with a moving lid. This isn't going to go anywhere. These are available in both Lithium and Agm. The Agm is around half the price of this one here. You got to consider with the lithium, there's a lot of advantages. It is less than half the weight. You actually get to use 100% of the battery capacity, so the whole 120 amp hours. And also lithium batteries charge a lot quicker than AGM. One thing I found with AGM as well, if you want this to be a portable station, if you've got a bad back or you're a little bit older and you struggle to lift things anymore, I did find that the AGM one, trying to lift it into the back of a car, it is much heavier and a lot more awkward. This is much easier to lift in and out. The AGM battery box comes with a little voltmeter here, so you can still always tell the state of charge, but the lithium battery box with the battery's built-in BMS, it's a lot smarter. Let's go into the shade now and check out the screen and see what it does. Turn the screen on. You have your battery percentage there. It's on standby at the moment. Your top numbers there, that's your current, the amount of amps running through the battery, your battery voltage, the battery temperature, and the time to empty. And if you were charging this, it would tell you the time until it's completely fully charged. And then next, we have the battery health. It's excellent at the moment, 120 amp hours. How many cycles, how many times it's been flattened. So that's on 1. And then all your cell levels right here. Don't concentrate too much on these levels. That battery health up the top there will tell you if there's any issues. I really like having this time to empty. So if you were running a fridge and you were out camping for the weekend and you want to know how long the fridge is going to last for, this will tell you exactly how long until the battery goes flat. On the front, you have your main battery isolator, so you can shut everything off as simple as that. Turn it back on. Your USBs here with the quick charge, cigarette socket, more USBs with another quick charge and another cigarette socket. It comes with a very well-known kick-ass DC-DC 25 amp charger. Now this will automatically detect that it's a lithium battery and charge on lithium profile. And there's multiple stages of charging, so it will look after the battery the best it can. As soon as it detects that your car is running, it will start pulling power from your main battery and charge this battery here. It also has a built-in Mppt solar regulator, so when you are camping and you're not driving your car, say you're staying for a couple of days, plug your solar panel directly into the back and you can charge the battery through solar. You can't get confused, everything is very clearly labelled up the top. Every single switch, every input, everything is all labelled. Your battery statuses, your solar statuses, everything, all the information you need is right here. You would have seen in a previous video, I did a review on the Bonnet power station. Now that had one advantage that this power station doesn't. It had a built-in inverter, a 2000 watt inverter, but I don't see this being that target market. This isn't targeted to be in the $200,000 79 series builds with your coffee machines and microwaves and everything else. This is meant for people just to throw in the back of their SUVs or four-wheel drives that don't go camping that often, but still want to be able to enjoy the comforts of home. Don't get me wrong, I could see myself easily doing a lap of Australia with just this and no other 12 volt. The only thing I use 240 volt for is to charge my laptop for editing videos. So you've still got the option to plug an inverter into here, so you can still plug a small inverter and charge my laptop. That's all you need. This is going to go in my partner's Kluger, so we've got 12 volt anywhere if we take her car as well. But also, I'm going to mount this tray in the boat, so that when we go out in the boat, we've now got plenty of 12 volt to charge cameras, drones, everything we want. We can go camping in the boat and have plenty of 12 volt. You can tell by how long this review has gone for that I really am excited about this product. It's probably one of the longest reviews I've done in a very long time, but I just think they've spent so much time in R&D and making sure they got this battery box right before they released it. I just love it. It is going to come in handy for years to come now. But if you've got any more questions about any of the battery box, how to install it, how it works, anything at all, don't hesitate to leave a comment. If you found this video helpful, leave a like, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing. I love making lots of review videos just like this. But thanks for watching this video, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!